Welcome to day 29. Oh my gosh, I got today. And we have tomorrow, and we have made it 30 days together. Every day, 2 p.m. Eastern, we've gotten together to talk about your financial life. This might be the most you've ever talked about your personal finances or listened about your personal finances in a 30-day period, so congrats to you for taking the time to do this. And congrats to my man, Mr. Kinetic, who has done the music this entire series. He is my friend. I like him so much. He brings so much to our community. And I want you to support him. So here is the link to his Bandcamp. If you don't know, independent artists go and set up a page there. So you go to mrkinetic.bandcamp.com. You can download any of the music we listen to through this entire program. You can buy it, support him. He is an assistant principal at a school. He's a great dude. He's an entertainer. So all the love, Mr. Kinetic. Oh, my favorite song. It's called All Calm Down. I listen to it and I run. And by run, I mean jog. All right, everybody. Day 29, Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner, CEO of Your Money Line. Here's what we're doing over this 30-day period. I got to turn myself up in my own ears here. There we go. All right. Listen, y'all, here's what we're doing. We are going to try to cut your spending by $500 a month over the next 30 days, over the last 30 days, and over the next few sets of 30 days. They're called months. We are in trouble as an economy, so we need to make sure that you are doing everything you need to do to protect your finances. It's going to be rough. We want to press reset on our finances as well. If your life has gone like this financially a little bit, guess what you have the opportunity to do is when it turns back around, you can do it a new way with new skills and new rules. Today, we talk about those rules. And finally, you can stop guessing. Man, the worst thing you can do about your financial life is just assume and guess. My man, Mark, a different Mark, not Mr. Kinetic. He's with a C. Good day. Thanks very much for everything. You taught me a lot in the these past weeks in quarantine. You know what? I'm big in the quarantine community. Oh, listen, guys. Listen. We're going to get through this. And if you need help, go to callheymoney.com. My team of geniuses is standing by to help you. No, they really are. We talked to someone that watched this show yesterday, jumped on, used the offer code CHEESE, right? Because you get 10% off. And that makes a lot of financial sense. And was talking to their new expert that's helping guide their financial life an hour and a half after the show yesterday. So go to callheymoney.com. You can talk to one of our CFPs, which is a certified financial planner, the best designation you can have in the industry. We have AFCs, which are accredited financial counselors that really get into how you think about money. And also, just so you know, you can see backed episodes of this show at the callheymoney.com blog. So do that. Today, we are talking standards. Man. Okay, so here's what I learned years and years and years and years ago. You get to determine the rules of your own life. Now, they have to fall within the rules of society, but you get to decide what you want. You ever watch like a Sports Center or something like that? And baseball. It always happens there's a brawl during a baseball game. Someone does something, and then the announcer comes on and said, well, he broke one of the unwritten rules of baseball. And you're like, well, what does that mean? We all have unwritten rules of our lives in every aspect of our life. Relationships, right? Our physical fitness, nutrition. We have rules with our money. We even have, so if Mrs. Planner and I go out to eat, I'm going to have only 2 alcoholic beverages if I choose to imbibe that evening, if I'm going to drive home. I will only have 2. That is my standard. That is my rule. Weird example, but there are these little rules you have about your life. Maybe someone gets you a gift. What's an unwritten rule? That you write them a thank you. Maybe it's not your rule, but it's a lot of people's rule, right? Maybe you go on a first date with someone and your rule is not to text them next day because you're trying to be cool. I don't know how any of that works by the way. I've been married for 20 years. When I got married, when I was dating my wife, there was no text messaging. I faxed her a follow-up on a date once. Memo, I hope you had a good time. I'll circle back to you next week. Beep, 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 beep. Faxed it to her. She got it. She unfurled it. It was like, wow, He's classy and professional. Anyway, we have standards. And what I want to talk to you about today is how to set standards in different areas of your financial life. This has been one of the most powerful things that I've done in my own financial life. And it's basically this. Okay. I want you to think about your vegetarian friend. We all have one, right? We also have a vegan friend, and you know that because, well, they tell you all the time. But you know your vegetarian friend, and you primarily know they're vegetarian. It's not a big deal, but it's like if you go out to eat with them, and you're talking about an appetizer or something, and there happens to be bacon in it, the vegetarian will be like, you know what? I don't do bacon. I can't have a dish with bacon. It's just not what I do. It's not like the vegetarian, every time they go out to eat, redecides that they're going to pass on the pork on their fork. It's not like every time they go, they say, I no longer dine on the swine, right? It's not like they go out and they say, I no longer dig the pig. They don't do that. It's just who they are. They don't have to redecide. That is what it is to have a standard. If you have a standard for your financial life, you're not redeciding if you don't want to spend money here or there. You're just holding to the standard. People think standards make things harder. In fact, they don't. Standards make things much, much easier because it's just the rules, right? It's just what you do. When I get in the car, I don't decide whether or not to put on my seatbelt. I get in the car and I go, it's a rule. I do it. It makes it easier. That's what we're working on today. So here are the different areas of your financial life that I highly recommend you adopt some standard for. I'm going to share my standards for you, or pardon me, I'm going to share my standards with you. My standards for myself. You can have my standards if you want them, or you can have your own. That's the fun of this. We're going to tackle investing, savings, debt, and insurance. Those are the ones. And you can add from there. I was on Twitter today doing some things, and a nice personal finance writer and I were exchanging tweets, and she said that one of her standards is if she's going to spend a certain amount of money, she'll consult with her partner about that purchase. Now, Mrs. Planner and I used to have that same rule back in the day. We don't anymore, but it's not because something went wrong. It's just, rules evolve. So do standards. Here's where we're starting today. Let's start with investing because I think that's the first part. Hi, Lori. Thank you for your kind words. Thanks for joining along. If you see me just talking to random people and you don't see their comments, it's because you're watching it on either YouTube or the Pete the Planner page. And I'm looking at currently the Hey Money comments on the Hey Money Facebook page. So I'm not some weirdo. I mean, I am sort of a weirdo. I think investing rules are the place you start. As we've talked about on our journey over the last 30 days, investing challenges are the hardest ones to solve because essentially what you're doing at the end of your career, your work career, you're shutting off the mechanism of income which supported you for roughly 40, 45 years. And you're activating a new mechanism of income, which is called a retirement income stream, whether it comes from your investments or comes from a pension or comes from Social Security. That's hard to do. It's the biggest challenge you have. You're trying to survive without work income for 3-4 decades in some examples, through up and down markets, through major expenses, through health emergencies. It really is the biggest challenge. There was a retirement crisis in this country prior to there being the crisis we're in right now. And depending on what you read and consume and listen to and watch, you either are attuned to this or you're not. And I haven't really beat up a lot about the retirement problems that we have in our country during our time together, but they're vast. They're very big. And so for me, here's my investing standard. I'll share it with you, and then you can set one of your own. My theory is if it is the hardest problem to solve, it requires the most time, the most resources, that the way I want to solve it is by saving/investing the right amount of money every time I address that issue. What does that mean? It means I know how much money I want to have when I retire. I've taken time to talk to people like the folks at callheymoney.com to determine what that amount of money is and what it takes today for me to accomplish that goal. Right? Too often, people think of retirement planning as you're a squirrel gathering nuts right before the winter, and your goal is just to get as many nuts in the tree as possible. While arguably true, it would actually make more sense to put the right amount of nuts in the tree. That's what proper investment planning is. That's what proper financial planning is. I know exactly what I have to invest every single month, and I do it. That's my standard. I put the right amount in. Come here, Ted. Ted's interrupting the show. He's trying to distract me. Come here. What are you doing? You want to be on the show? You're going to be on the show.
Okay.
This is what happens when you distract the old man.
I was doing the same, man.
What is that?
No, I was doing this. Now.
Okay, thank you. Can you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Okay, get out, please. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, listen. Invest the right amount of money. That's the point. And so often people go, well, I'm doing the best that I can. I get it. And I'm empathetic to that idea. But where will that get you? By purposefully putting in not enough, it will get you to an undesired result. So at least do this. See what you're doing will get you in the end. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that by not putting enough money into their investments, that the future that is there is not a desirable one. And they would adjust their standard if they knew that. How do I know this? Because I did it the wrong way for a really long time. I'm the test dummy. I am. For years, I just put in, well, here's some. And then here's the really dumb thing I would do is my income was going up. I would just put more dollars in year from year. You know, true story. Mrs. Planner and I, every year, right after the first year, we go to dinner. It's just our financial dinner. We just talk about how the last year went, what our goals were for the coming year. I can't even remember when this was. This has got to be 12 years ago. So we go out to eat, and I said, oh, well, hey, I always give her the report, you know, like the state of the union, union being our marriage, financially. So, hey, honey, we saved more dollars last year than we did the year prior. And I was like looking for something like, you know, credit or maybe kids, whatever. And she's like, okay. But she wasn't reacting the way, of course, I wanted her to react. And I could see her thinking, I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem good for me. She said, well, was it a higher percentage of our income that we saved or more dollars? And I said, well, it was more dollars. She goes, so it was a lower percentage of our income, though, because I know how our income went up. And I was like, yeah. So we actually, in the year that I wanted to take credit for saving more money, we saved a lesser percentage of our overall income. Therefore, we kind of went backwards. And this was a big wake-up call for me, that I realized that we need to have a better plan. It can't just be to put X amount of dollars. It needs to be X percent or the proper number of dollars as it relates to our investing goal. That's what I highly recommend when it comes to this whole situation. Savings. Okay. Now you hear all sorts of stuff here. And by the way, actually on investing too, you're like, I heard you save 10% of your income. Always save 10% of your income. Those are weird, phony numbers. They don't mean anything. From the beginning of your career, you should set aside between 12 to 15% of your gross income each year. And if you do that, you have a pretty good chance of success in retirement. But the whole, oh, I heard you should save 10% of your income, that doesn't mean anything. In fact, it's kind of neat, but the goal with savings is to accumulate 3 months worth of expenses. It can take some time, but it also means this. You get a tax refund check, it goes into savings, right? You get an extra paycheck because of the pay frequency in your pay periods, it goes into savings. That's what it is to have goals and to have standards. If you don't have goals and you don't have standards and you don't value an emergency fund, when you're just so close to an emergency fund, but you get a tax refund check, instead you choose to go do something with it as opposed to meet your standard and fund that goal. That's the difference between having standards and not having standards. And look, if you've done it the other way, not having standards, I'm not beating up on you. I just want you to know during this rebuild period that we're all about to enter, and some of us have already entered, take advantage of the opportunity to press reset and add standards, because it's those people right now who are going through the same thing as you and me that have this little extra buffer that was their standard. Their standard created more wiggle room for them. They're hurting a little bit less than people without standards because they built that cushion. That's what I want for you. For me, for our household, 3 to 6 months is really the standard of we want having savings. And by the way, and I haven't really talked about this much, we fund this first. This is number one, investing goals, right? Number two, because we have a fully funded emergency fund, we don't actually put any more money into savings, and we continue to put the right amount into our retirement plan. So where does the extra money go? It goes to college savings for the two little jerks that keep coming in here. I love them very much. They're very loud. I don't know where they get that. but it's for college, for them, right? And when we hit that particular goal, then it doesn't actually matter what we spend money on. The reality is I do what is now called the lazy man's budget. I fund my goals appropriately so I don't have to worry about what I spend money on. If I want to spend $40 on a bottle of wine as opposed to $15 a bottle of wine, I don't care and I don't feel bad about that. Why? Because I funded my goals. Does it mean I'm loaded? No, that doesn't mean that at all. Does it mean I make a ton of money? No, it doesn't mean that either. It means I properly fund my goals so I don't feel like I have to budget what's left over. What most people do is because they don't have standards and they don't have goals, they kind of feel like they should budget their spending so that there'll be money left over to fund their goals. That's not what we do. We fund our goals first. So then it doesn't matter what we do with anything else. A lot of times people get bent out of shape with how much money they spend on food or dining out or shopping and all of this, which you should until you have standards and goals. But once you have those things and you properly fund them and address them, it doesn't matter what you spend money on. That's the lazy man's budget. Now, what allows this to happen? Well, it happens to be our standard of debt. Our household, here's the standard. We don't carry credit card debt. That's it. That's the standard. It makes decisions a lot easier, right? Because otherwise we'd say, well, we want to do this. Can I give you an example? Sure, of course I will. Several years ago, we wanted to finish our basement here. So we had some options, right? We could aggressively save money to pay cash for it, or we could finance it through a home equity loan or something like that, begin to enjoy the basement. And then, of course, like most people do when they get something they want, they exhale and then they don't get in a hurry to pay off the debt. So we just waited a little bit longer, aggressively saved, because we knew by aggressively saving for it, we were going to get after it. We were going to make the cuts necessary to fund the goal, and we would end up with the stinking basement. So we wrote a check for the basement to be finished. I tell you this because our goal in all of this, and always has been, is to not go into consumer debt. And if that can be your beacon, if that can be your bumper, I always liken it to, you go bowling with your kids, there's the bumpers that come up. The ball can't go in the gutter because there's the bumpers. On one side, you've got, we need 3 months expenses set aside in an emergency fund. On the other side, you've got, you can't go into debt. So every consumer decision has to stay between that. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. In fact, it's difficult to get started. But once it's in place, man, your financial life is so much easier. And I know what you're thinking. Hearing this, you're thinking, well, of course your financial life is easier if you have no debt and an emergency fund. Thanks for the great advice, Peter. First of all, don't call me that. Second of all, that's the whole point of being able to press reset here, is what you were once not able to do. When you rebuild, you can make it a value of yours. And the key here is to have an uncompromising view of what these standards are. If it's what you do, it's what you do. And you can't compromise. You have to voluntarily make sure that you always follow through on this. That's the weird thing. By setting a standard, you're volunteering to never break it, because there's no one holding you accountable to it outside your own house. Everything is asking for your money. I was watching a commercial the other day. You notice all the commercials are today like, oh, we're very sorry what you're going through. There was one the other day from a car company. It was like, we understand what Americans are going through. That's why you should buy, and then they said the name of the company. It's like, okay, you understand what I'm going through, but you want me to buy a $37,000 car from you? That doesn't add up for me, right? People want your money worse than you want your money unless you have standards. By setting standards, you said, I want to keep this. There's always commercials on there like, well, you deserve the very best. Well, do you? Right? You deserve the structure you create for yourself. I've always felt that way. I told you during this 30-day exercise, we would bump up between personal responsibility and accepting help when needed. The reality is a lot of people can create a really beautiful financial reality. Not everyone. I'm going to admit it. Because of the income gap in this country, there's a lot of people that cannot create a beautiful financial reality no matter how many standards they have for themselves. I don't like that. But there's a lot of people who can. We will certainly try within our organization, and we have for 20 years, to address those people who cannot create this beautiful financial reality based on their income. We help those people too. But today I'm talking to the rest of us. I'm talking to the people that have the ends meet, right? They have two nickels to rub together to try to accomplish things and try to create stability. I'm not beating you up if you're not here right now. I'm really not. I'm trying to lift you up because I've been on the other side of it. Final thing. Insurance is really important. The reality is insurance is what is there to pick up the pieces when things don't go your way. I'm doing my best to fund a beautiful retirement for Mrs. Planner and I. Not the kids. They can't live here. Right? They can't. They got to be up on their own. They already know this. Ask them. We'll ask them tomorrow. We'll ask Ollie tomorrow. I'm going to have her kick off the show. We'll ask her what she's going to do after school. I guarantee you she will say, I don't know, but I can't live here. I promise. Here's what I want to say. If I die before I'm able to fund, Mrs. Planner and I are able to fund our retirement goals, that compromises her financial stability. That's why life insurance is a really important standard in our household. I always maintain, and I will until I've funded retirement, 10 times my income in life insurance. Is it expensive? Kinda. But it's our standard. Our standards are put what you should into retirement, have 3 months savings, no consumer debt, have the right amount of life insurance. Those are my household standards. You can set your own household standards. They don't have to be that intense. They can be more intense. I don't even know if you view what I said to be intense. You got to choose something. My only rule for your rules is that you can't say there are no rules. That's it. That's it. I'm going to try to hit some questions here. What do we got here? April says, thank you. You're very welcome. Jamie says, I'm a dentist. Obviously not working though. Yeah, because you'd be up in people's jibs. That's where they keep the COVID. And she shared my program to the team. They really enjoyed it and learned a bunch. You appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you get up into people's teeth again. I hate going to the dentist. Oh my. I'm sorry. They're always like, you should floss more. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to go because I got to go floss now. Right on. I'm on it. Go to callheymoney.com. But thank you for your dental work. I mean, you're not my dentist, but I'm sure someone. Go to callheymoney.com and our financial dentist will get into your mouth. I don't know. And they will tell you to floss. And I don't mean with a little string. I mean the dance. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm a little loopy today. Tomorrow's day 30. We've been doing this 30 days in a row, except for the Easter situation. I'm back. All right. Hey, have a good day. Take care of each other. Set standards. It's worth it. The standards are worth it. You got to fight. I mean, this is the period of time in which it's really easy to get lulled into comfort because there's not a lot of news right now. And all the news you're trying to avoid is all the fearful news. The economy is still beat up. It's going to be beat up for a while. Please fight. Please fight for financial stability. Make the $500 a month cuts at least. Press reset by setting standards for your financial life and stop guessing. Fight. I'll see you tomorrow.